although I enjoyed selling photocopiers, and I was I was advancing quite well and was being offered, promotions, and I want to move to England. I think Coventry, I was being offered the job, being sent to Coventry, it felt like. And I thought after 3.5 years, I thought, I've probably taken this as far as I can. Although it was an exciting piece of technology when you start, it's relatively simple. It can only do one thing. And at that time, computers were becoming much more accessible. You had mainframes, obviously, you had smaller computers. And IBM was the big company, but you had Digital and Burroughs and Univac and people like that around then as well. So I moved into IBM, which was the market leader. And again, I had to kind of step back almost to be retrained. That took me probably 9 months. And then I started selling what were mainframes to big insurance companies and manufacturing companies. And it was a very, very different industry, very different skill set, much more complicated long-term sales. Some of these products were several £1 million, and it took, not just you, but a team of specialists to sell them. So it's a much more collaborative, collegiate type of role. But I really loved it, and I really loved where computers were going, the fact that they were just simplifying and speeding up and making much cheaper the whole bunch of manual labor. When you think of what it used to take to produce payroll for a big company in the old days with people writing out things, and then with computers you can do it in a couple of seconds. So I love what computers could do in terms of automating and modernizing business. By that time, the PC had come along, and then PCs were getting joined up together with technologies called Ethernet and Token Ring. And I joined a company called Madge Networks, which made token ring cards to allow PCs to talk to each other. And then they moved into different forms of networking. They ended up getting bought by Lucent Technologies, who I was part of for a little while. So I was starting to see where the internet was taking computers and making business again much more affordable, the ability to communicate globally without needing a massive big mainframe. So I really managed to, I was lucky in that in my time at IBM, I lived through the revolution that took it from a mainframe company that then had PCs. And then when I left IBM, I could see how PCs becoming connected allowed people to put together very simple local area and wide area networks. And then when I left that, I went to Dell, and I ran Dell in the UK and in Northern Europe for about 4 years. And so again, I was running the UK, the Scandinavian countries, the Belgium and Holland. So I got to experience again a lot of different cultures, which was great. And I saw that PC industry completely eat into the mainframe business. So that computing now was starting to go to a server-based architecture where you didn't need the big, huge, expensive £10 million mainframes that the banks all had. You could actually run your business with, a number of servers put together. When you needed more power, you just had it on a new server. So I lived through that revolution again with Dell, and then moved on to T-Mobile. And T-Mobile had been an old mobile phone network called One-to-One. It was purchased by Deutsche Telekom of Germany, who were building a European network, and they renamed that T-Mobile. And that was based up in Hatfield. And at the time, it was a very exciting. I mean, the mobile phone had come along in the late 90s. This was 2003. So it was a very well-developed industry, but the underlying technology was still what was called GPRS or 2.5G. So you could do voice. And when I started at T-Mobile, 70% of a phone's usage was voice, 25% was text messages, and the other 5% was for those who were crazy enough to try to send internet messages using a numeric keypad. And so you then suddenly in that time saw the arrival of the smartphone. We launched 3G, which was the real first, mobile data, mobile internet. And these were very, very exciting times. These were technologies and capabilities that put the power of the mainframe into the pocket of consumers and small businesses. So again, and it wasn't just T-Mobile doing it. Every mobile telephony company in the globe was doing this. But it was a very exciting time. It was pioneering.